Hey guys, we're going to make our pop art names. We're going to need watercolors, water, crayons, and a large piece of paper. I'm using a small piece of paper here to demonstrate because my large paper is too big to fit on the screen. So we're going to be using a 12 by 18 sheet of white paper. First step I'm going to do is go ahead and fold the paper in half. After I fold it in half, I'm going to back fold it by folding it the opposite direction on the same fold that I folded the first time. Then I'm going to take this and fold it up. I'm dividing this paper into 4 rectangles by 4 rectangles. So I just folded that side. Now I'm going to flip it over and take this side over. Then I'm going to open everything up and back fold. So you can see my folder wanting to go one direction. I need to go the other way. So I'm going to back fold this one and back fold that one. What that'll do is make my paper lay flat again. Now I'm going to take my paper and fold it in half this way. This gets a little tricky on the bigger paper because of all the folds that are on there. So I'm going to do that. Then back fold. And I'm not making a new line, I'm just folding the old line. And then I'm going to take half of this, fold it to the center. If I'm going too fast, feel free to stop it at any point and catch up. Back fold. All these folds are going to do is just give us our spaces to write our letters in for our picture. And then I'm going to back fold. And I'm going to be working on my paper vertical. So I have all my lines going the length of the paper going that way, and then I'm going to just pick some crayons. I'm going to kind of stick with a theme of crayon color. I'm not going to use every color in the box. And then I'm just going to write one letter in each box. And I want to make it pretty big. I'm going to do my last name Ferraro, so I'm going to do F. And again, here's my box, so I'm making the letter really big. I'm also kind of doubling up the lines so it's a little bit fatter. And then I'm just going to keep going when I get to the end of the line, even though my letters, I still have more letters. So I'm just going to keep going until I run out of room. I am using this limey green color, but don't worry, when I paint it, I'll use a darker pink color on those. We're going to get out our watercolors. Now, when we're painting this, anytime you paint watercolor right next to watercolor, sometimes you have what's called a bleed and the colors kind of mix together. So a trick that I like to use is I like to do kind of a checkerboard on here to start with so that I'm not working wet next to wet. So I'm going to start on my F there, and you can use any color you want. To activate the paint, we always do water paint 3 times, kind of give it a little swirl. And now you're going to use that fold as your guide of where to paint. And you'll notice that when you paint over the crayon, it resists the water from the watercolors. And then I needed to pick up more paint, so I'm always going to go to my water first to pick up some more paint. And then I'm going to tap, 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 tap my brush on the bottom of the cup. That's going to release the water, or the color from it. And I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3 times. Swirl it around. And then I'm going to paint. And I'm going to skip that one, because if I did that one right next to it, you would see that they would mix together. I need more paint, so I'm going to get more water. Always water before paint. And I kind of did a border there so it was nice and clean. Tap, tap, tap on the bottom of the cup. Pick a new color. This one's going to be pink, so maybe I'll do a purple one. 3 times in the paint, swirl it around, and then again paint. And I'm kind of doing the border, that way I can go slow when I get to the edges. Water then paint. Water then paint. And then once I get the border, I can kind of go quick. Tap going back to the top. Now that I've waited until I got back to the top, these two are a little bit drier and there's a less of a chance that they're going to run together. So I'm going to, now I need to select a color that's not the same as the two right next to it. And I've already activated my yellow by using it when I used it down here. So I don't need to do the water paint again. It's already got enough water in it. I just need to rinse my brush by tapping it on the bottom, and then I can start painting that. Again, always make sure you're dipping in the water before you're dipping in the paint. Tapping it on the bottom to rinse that, and now I have this one. So I gotta kind of look at what's around it, make sure I don't put two of the same color next to each other. And again, I didn't need to activate the orange, I just needed to get water before I got paint. Or if it starts to get too dark like that on you, you can just get your wet brush. I didn't get any more paint, and I'm just kind of grabbing that colored paint and pulling it over to the side. Maybe blue there. So I got water. Again, since I did not activate the paint with the water paint 3 times, it is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to get my brush wet. I'm not tapping it on the bottom. I'm just getting the brush wet again. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use that water to kind of paint around the edges. And you can see right there, my orange wasn't quite dry enough, so my blue wanted to go into it. And I'm not using really good drawing paper. I'm just using copy paper. So your drawing paper is going to do a better. Okay, so it's all done, and that will be put onto the drying rack. So you're going to lift it up carefully. Make sure you carry it nice and flat because there are some puddles here we don't want them to run into the other areas. Now you are going to be using what's called a paint mat. And it's a little too big to show on the camera here, but it is a mat that looks like this. It does remind you how to activate your paint. It does have a place for your water cup, and it also has a place for your paints. Now this is a lefty one, so if you use your left hand to draw and write with, you'll use one that says lefty on it. It does have a black piece of tape on it. If you flip it over, you have a right-handed one. So you'll place your water where it says water, and then you'll place your paints to match up with it. So you'll have it like this. So the paints are close to you. And this will sit on your right hand side of your body, or your left hand, depending on which hand you use. That way when you're working, you're not reaching over yourself. If you noticed in the video, I was reaching over myself, and that is not a good idea when we're painting. So I hope you guys enjoy.